with joy and gratitude a prayer of the friends great creator you are our hope, and support every movement and thought are only for you give us the strength to fulfill the rule of the AR and give each friend a place and the strength in this work, in this most important work that we may succeed in realizing it, help each friend to correct all the thieves and robbers in him and to work only in best. Thank you for hearing the prayer of every mouth and give us an opportunity to turn to you. Hello, we are reading from the writings of Rash article. The spice study materials can be found online systems. You can also ask questions live through the sites. Whoever is asking questions in the study hall is as to hold the mic and speak loudly, clearly. Article the spies. The Holy interprets the matter of the spies that Moses sent to tour the land concerning the spiritual land. Why is it written that the Creator tells them go up there into the native delve in the tour, and by that you will know that world, see what the land is like, meaning that you will see the world to which I bring you, and the people dwelling in it are the righteous in the garden of Eden. The strong is the faint, meaning that in it you will see if they were rewarded with all that, because they overcame their inclination by strength and broke it, or by weakness without effort, or if they were strengthened in the Torah to engage in it day and night, or left it off, and we're still rewarded with all that, whether there are few or many, means if many engage in my work and strengthen themselves in the Torah and are rewarded with all this, or not. And what is the land like? Is it fat or lean? You will know what the land is like in the Torah, meaning what is that world, if the upper abundance is plentiful for its dwellers, or if anything is missing there. And they went up into the Nay and came to heaven. Going up in the native means that people are ascending in it. In the Torah, in the Nay means with an idle heart, as one who tries in vain, dry, thinking that there's no reward in it. He sees that the wealth of this world is lost for it, and thinks that all is lost in the native means that the water has dried out and came to he means that he comes to connect with the Torah. Was built in 7 years, which are the 70 faces of the Torah, and they came to the stream of our words of legend and interpretation, which come from the side of faith, and cut down a branch from there, meaning learned chapter headings from their headlines. Those who are faithful are happy with the words, and the words are blessed within them. They look at their being of one root and one kernel, and there is no separation in them. Those who are not faithful and not learn for her sake separate faith, which is mal from Zanin, since they do not believe that they are of one kernel and one root. And this is the meaning of and they carried it on a pole between two, meaning that they separated between the written Torah and the oral Torah with the pomegranates and with the figs, meaning they put these words completely with the other side, to the side of idol worship, in the side of separation. Remen pomegranates comes from the word minim, idol worshippers, and figs comes from the words and the Lord is not by his side, meaning when they do not believe in providence and say that everything is incidental and separate the Creator from the world, and they return from touring the land, means that they return to the bad side, return from the path of truth, saying, what did we get out of it? To this day we've not seen good in the world. We labored in the Torah, and the house is empty. We have dwelt among the lowest in the nation, who will be rewarded with that world, who will come into it. We be better off not laboring so much. They told him and said, we labored and learned in order to know a part of that world as you advised us, and it is also flowing with milk and honey. That upper world is good, as we know from the Torah. Who can merit it? However, the people are strong. The people that has been rewarded with that world is strong. The missing the entire world something to engage in, and of great wealth. Who can do so and be rewarded with it? Of course, the people who dwell in that land are strong. One who wishes to be rewarded with it must be strong in wealth, as the writing says. The rich man answers roughly, and the cities are big and fortified, meaning houses filled abundantly. Nothing is missing in them, and yet we also saw there the descendants of the giant, meaning it requires a body strong and as mighty as a lion, since the Torah exhausts man's strength. Who can be rewarded with it also is living in the land of the nay, if one should say that even with all this he will be rewarded with overcoming is living in the land of the native, meaning the evil intonation. The slandering accuser of a person is always in the body. With these words they discourage the hearts of the children of Israel, since they gave it a bad name. These faithful ones, what do they say? If the Lord is pleased with us, he will give it to us. That is when one tries with a desire of the heart towards the Creator, he will be rewarded with it, because all he wants from him is the heart. But do not rebel against the Lord. We must not rebel against the Torah, because the Torah does not need wealth or vessels of silver and gold. And you do not fear the people of the land, for if a broken body were to engage in tar, there will be healing for all, and all of man's slanderers will become his helpers. Thus far its words according to how the Holy Zah interprets the matter of the spies in relation to man's to the holy work. It is generally called taking upon oneself the burden of the kingdom of heaven. By this one is rewarded with the reception of the Torah, as it was at the foot of Mount. See, when they said we will do and we will. Here it is just as each and everyone who wants to be rewarded with the Torah must go through a period called we will do, and then he can be rewarded with we will. Here there are many degrees in we will do, which generally divide into ways. One, the revealed part, is regarded as keeping the Torah and the commandments in practice, learning day and night, and being meticulous with all the details of the mitzvah, so there is nothing more he can add. As far as actions are concerned, his intention is that he does everything for the Creator to keep the King's commandments, and in return he will receive reward in this world and in the next world. In this respect he's considered righteous. The hidden part refers to the hidden part in the Torah, which is the intention. What a person intends while practicing is hidden from people, but mostly it is hidden from the person himself, because the work must be above reason. The reason cannot criticize his work if he's on the way that ascends toward adhesion with the Creator, meaning if he's on the path called in order to bestow, not in order to receive reward. Therefore it is hidden because he is working without reward, so the reward is hidden from him. This means that a person who works for reward knows that he's working well because he's receiving a reward, but one who works in order to bestow contentment upon his Maker, so the Creator will enjoy. He cannot see if the Creator is enjoying his work. Rather, he must believe that the Creator is pleased. It follows that the reward is called in order to, and it too is above reason. There are other reasons called the hidden part. This work does not belong to the general public, but to individuals, as my just said one should always engage in Sa, even from a not for her sake, since from Lishma it comes, to for her sake. Therefore when teaching children, women, and uneducated people, they are to be taught to work out of fear, and in order to receive reward until they gain knowledge and acquire much wisdom, they are to be taught the secret bit by bit, and are to be accustomed to it pleasantly until they attain him and know him and serve him out of love. The matter of spies begins primarily in a person who wants to walk on the path of which is to bestow. At that time the spies come with their just arguments according to their views. Through reasoning they make one understand that they are right. It is known that the Holy Zah says every man is a small world consisting of 70 nations as well as of Israel. This means that since there are 7 qualities which are 7 sp and opposite them, there are 7 qualities in that each one consists of 10, thus there are 70. Also each nation has its own passion and wants to ordain it passion over everyone, and the people of Israel in a person also has its own passion which is to adhere to the Creator. There is a rule that one cannot fight oneself, rather this requires a special power for a person to be able to go against his views. He does have the power and strength to fight against another if he understands that his view is true, and he will never want to yield before the view of the other. Accordingly, if the 70 nations are within the person, how can he fight himself? That is, once a certain nation prevails over the 70 nations with its passion, and then a person is governed by that passion. Then when a person thinks about himself, he sees that this is his passion. He does say that someone from the 70 nations wants to govern him, but thinks that this is he himself, and it is very hard to fight against himself. Therefore a person should depict to himself that he has 70 nations in his body as well as the people of Israel. He must determine for himself to which people he belongs. That is, there's a rule: every person loves his homeland and fights for his homeland. Therefore he must determine if he belongs to the people of Israel or to a nation from the 70 nations. If he determines that he belongs to the people of Israel, then he can fight the 70 nations. When he sees that they are coming to fight at that time, he sees that the 70 nations wants to obliterate the people of Israel, as it is written in the Passover. How the Passover story: she stood for our fathers and for us, for not only one arose against us to obliterate us, rather each and every generation there are those who arise against us to obliterate us, and the Creator saves us from their hands. If he knows that he belongs to the people of Israel, then he has the strength to fight against the 70 nations, since there's strength in nature to fight for one's homeland, for he knows that he is an Israelite and they want to obliterate him. It follows that it is as though there are 2 bodies fighting one another, and then he has the strength to fight. Here, when we speak of the work of the Creator, the people of Israel is called that which is Ya'el, straight to the Creator. He wants to adhere to the Creator. He wants Mal, meaning to take upon himself the burden of the kingdom of heaven. Mal is called K God, as it is written in the Holy. So this is why it is written, a God who has in indignation every day, meaning Mal, while the 70 nations in him resisted and fight with the Israel in him with all kinds of tactics. They wish to and obliterate the Israel in a man's body. Here in the work with the intention when he wants to go specifically in a manner of bestow. Then the argument of the spies begins, which the Holy that interprets their arguments according to the verses written in the Torah which dispute and fight the Israel in him and want to eradicate them from the face of the earth. That is, he must not think that he will achieve what he thought he would achieve with all kinds of arguments, for they are fighting him, since the basis of the 70 nations is the will to receive, and Israel is precisely annulling before him without any reward at all. For precisely when a person wants to go against their views begins the argument of the spies, who make them understand rationally that he has no chance of achieving the goal that he plans to achieve. However, sometimes the spies make a person understand something that is harsher than anything the spies claim. They say to a person, "Know that the Creator cannot help an ignorable person such as you." This is the harshest of all, because usually whenever a person is in trouble he can pray, but when they come to a person saying you are wasting your efforts because the Creator cannot help, they deny him the prayer. What can he do? Then to whom can he turn for help? It is written in the Holy Zechariah says they took it upon themselves to slander everything, and what is everything is the earth, and the Creator. Rab said, with the earth it's true, with the Creator how do we know? He told them it is implied in the words, however the people are strong, that is, who can defeat them? The people are strong is accurate, meaning that even the Creator cannot defeat them, and they slander the Creator. A person cannot argue with the words of the spies with his reason, or wait until he has what to reply to them, and in the meantime be under the governance. Rather, he must know that he will never be able to answer their doubts with the external mind, specifically when he is rewarded with the inner mind. You will have the words to explain to them in the mind. He must go above his mind, meaning say that although the intellect is very important, the importance of faith is still higher than the intellect. Therefore he must not go according to the intellect, but according to the path of faith, to believe what ISES told us, that a man must take upon himself the burden of the kingdom of heaven as faith above reason. At that time there's no place for the argument of the spies, because they speak only within the reason of the external mind. This is the meaning of Israel saying at the time of the preparation for the reception of the Torah, we will do and then we will. Here doing means without the external intellect, rather he calculates according to the commander, for the commander probably knows what is good for him and what is not, meaning what is good for a person and what is not. But one big question remains, why did the Creator give us an external intellect which we use in every single thing, while here in the work of the Creator we must go against this intellect and not with the intellect with which we were born? This comes because the Creator wanted to be asked for help. The help he gives is the light of Ta, and if they could go without the help of the Creator, they would have no need for the light of Ta. As ISES said, I have created the evil inclination, I have created the Torah as being spice. Therefore, in order for him to need to extend the light of Ta, we were given this work in concealment on the intention, so that man will need an inner mind. From the perspective of the outer intellect, the Creator made it so is not to give any help for the work. On the contrary, it is obstructing him to work in order to bestow. This is the meaning of what is written in the Holy. So if a person comes to purify, he is aided with a holy soul. He is purified and sanctified, and he is called holy by that one comes to need to be rewarded with an ahai that pertains to the root of a soul. Hence there is a correction of concealment, which is the dot meaning that a person's outer mind will be against working in order to bestow. This is called within reason of the outer mind, which makes all of man's calculations that it is not worthwhile for him to work in order to bestow when he overcomes and does not escape the campaign, and prays to the Creator to help him go above reason, meaning not to be under the rule of the will to receive. Then when the Creator helps him, he receives an inner mind called inner reason. At that time, through this reason, the body agrees to work in order to bestow upon the Creator, as it is written, when a man's ways are pleasing to the Lord, he makes even his enemies be at peace with him. Referring to the evil inclination, it follows that while he is within reason, meaning that the intellect tells him it is worthwhile to do this work, he can exert in the work. Therefore, when he has an outer intellect, the reason compels him, meaning the intention to receive this is called within reason. And when he is rewarded with the inner mind, meaning the inner reason, the mind obligates him that it is worthwhile to work in order to bestow contentment upon the Creator. What do you think about this article? Yes, for me it was a great pleasure to hear the words of the so out of this accompanying with this explanation and this pleasure of belonging, that it was simply like a book that's telling me about myself. It's a very pleasant feeling that the Creator is truly just escorting us. What can you hear? Me nothing to add or say. Otherwise, first of all, the articles perfect, and there's other articles of the spice. Maybe we'll enter into that later on. I wanted to ask, what strength is a person have to go against that outer intellect that he was born with the Creator? From where does the prayer stem? From to the Creator. From what? Intellect. From despair on the lack of choice, sort of a last resort, when a person does not see any powers within him that can raise him, led him to the correct state. And what pushes him to the correct state? That's seemingly against the intellect on the one hand, that seemingly against the one's intellect, but on the other hand he's got enough place in his mind to know they have to go against it. What is the inner intellect? It's that which keeps in the person the matter of Lishma, and he understands that this can indeed exist, but only with the help of the Creator. And when the Rash writes that when these complaints come that your work is a waste of time and the Creator cannot help, and then they take this place of prayer, and then he has no one to turn to. So what is he do then when he has no one to turn to? He has no other choice. He's got no choice. He must nevertheless use this. This state is this only chance. Only the Creator can do it. If not, then to ask all the way through, and he awakens the help from the Creator. Or if he doesn't, that's already a decision from above. Thank you again. Very special article. What is this point? That a person determines that he belongs to Israel, that within him are the nations of the world, and within him is Israel, and he determines that he belongs to Israel. It's a feeling that there is such a power in him, such an opinion, discernment. He cannot remain as a beast for all intents and purposes, meaning to just be like everyone. Rather, something internally is separating him from everyone, and in this innermost point he's aimed at the Creator. Yes, is according to what I understand in the text. He also identifies himself that in his beast are the nations of the world. Of course, and seemingly from the same point of view, he can identify differently to identify with the beast, and by identifying what Israel is, if gives him strength, doesn't give him the power immediately. And it's not like every Person who has this power awakened in him can perform the actions of Israel. Rather no, he will have to wage war on behalf of Israel in him. Thank you. How does Israel manage the war? Separates himself from the general public and connects to additional forces of Israel that are next to him. This is the 10, not that he himself did not assemble, but rather the Creator arranged it for him. He says take it, and that's how he begins the war. And every war that seems external, it's within a person he's waging war. He needs to wage war with himself. He needs to choose his partners in this war. It says here that the hardest complaint of the spies is they come and tell a person that a lowly person like you, the Creator, cannot help. So what are we do in such a state? The Creator helps everyone he has. He has a power to treat the lowliest person and help him out as well and raise him. It says about Moses that he was extremely humble, and that's why it's not a reason to give up, leave the battle and reach better. But similarly with that complaint, he disconnects him from the Creator. So in that state, even if a person knows what you just explained, in that state he's crushed under that, because nevertheless anything but leave a person has to go for everything more and more, even passively. Nevertheless he stays, he can remain in actions here, he can continue to the actions. Let's say that in intention he's incapable, but in action, yeah, but nevertheless there's no action without an intention. There's a small percentage of an intention there is. If what I'm trying to ask, the worst is to forget that you're Israel, and that there is the Creator, and you to connect to him through the friends, and the moment that he disconnects from the Creator, leaving the 10 for example, staying alone, that's already, it's got no one to fight with him to hold him here. There's not much to do. That's why it says anything but leave. Again afterwards he decides that he's the nation of Israel and that he needs to fight for his birthland, because every generation they rise against. Then he gives good some really nice advice here that we in the 10 were really inspired by it when we read this excerpt as preparation. He says that when the spies come, he has no chance to fight against them or to wait for them not to make these complaints, and he'll never be able to make these arguments against them. But specifically, when he merits the inner intellect, then he will have the language of what to explain to them, and in the meantime, he needs to go above the intellect and say that the intellect is very important, but nonetheless faith is above an importance more so than the intellect. So he shouldn't go by the intellect, but according to faith, and believe in what the sage has told them, and then there is no place for the complaint of the spies. Simply leaves this level, this premise that what they are discussing, they're talking, that's why he can't hear it. He's not working together with them against them. They simply don't exist on that level. He exterminates them by not allowing the external intellect, by not giving it space at all. It's an amazing thing that we in the 10 thought that this was the central thing that we need to insist on, to value faith above reason more than the external intellect. Yes, you thought correctly. He writes that Israel is that altered here to the Creator, and there's 70 more nations. Can you explain what are these 70 other? How can a person identify them, run away from the work of the Creator, and there any other work that is pleasant to his body? There truly so many different types, but that's how they say about it are these intentions or different desires. What are these qualities? These are 70 desires, 70 passions in, and he attracts them, draws them all to the Mal, I'm trying to understand how to differentiate them, because if there is an intention, it's just in order to bestow. There's not much to differentiate there, but what are these different measures that with each and every desire that awakens in him, he works with it in order to give pleasure to himself, that say honor, control these types of things? Yeah, of course we can't count 70 such desires, but they truly exist. Are again despise as if support this thing that the person is small, he has no ability. This is how they tell him, you're not successful, you won't be heard. I wanted to ask in a 10, let's say that there's a friend. If I made a friend too big, is it possible that they are good there, great there, strong, but they're of shame, but it doesn't cause me? They're already too big, like it's written in the article. You have made them in order to escape the work. So what is the right work? I also need to be big in something, of course, otherwise they're not friends. You see yourself already lying on the stretcher and they carry you as so this, that's called the spice, as if wants to take a person out of the place of work and let him be just discarded on the side somewhere from every angle, not necessarily out like that. He possible he will come out as a hero again. Few questions from the internet, short ones from Bellis. What does it mean to attain reward in this world, and what is the reward in the next world? The reward in this world is everything that exists in this world, anything you can imagine to yourself, all of it. This the reward, this is what you're working for, and that's what you wish to receive. And a reward for the next world is when you imagine to yourself the next world, since then there is no limit to what you can imagine. Me woman, PT from Wompt. What is that inner intellect? What is the inner intellect? The inner intellect is when a person begins to pie and pick himself, the inside of himself, apart and see what he wants, and then typically this inner intellect will bring to very simple things, is very corporal, very animalistic. From how do we know how to determine that we are the nation of Israel, that we are one with this concept of the nation of Israel? The concept of Israel is straight to the Creator, so anyone who has a line from his state to the state of the Creator to adhere to him according to law of equivalence of form, that he's called Israel. Hence there is no such a nation as Israel from the beginning. Rather in Babylon Abraham was looking for such people that wanted to get to the level of Israel, so he found them and he walked to them to the land of Canaan, and hear from woman there asking, what is that Israel force of the Israel that's in the 10? What is it? We identified each one of the friends from all around the world. Doesn't matter the color, sex, gender, doesn't matter. There's a point called Israel. We wish to connect all these points and bring them to realize. Last question from woman C6. We say that the Torah exhausts a person's for strength, but we know that the Torah is light and we receive strength from it. So how do we arrange these things when we are for the time being in our egoistic will to receive? The Torah exhausts a person and seemingly helps us or stops us from advancing toward the clippet to shells, and when we go through that stage and want to nevertheless reach best, that's when we begin to come closer to the Torah and receive strength and power from it. How much time should a person be within reason and look at the depth of the reason to hear the spies? Can you go directly to determining each spiritual discernment? Lacks time as much as he can, basically as much as it's enough for a person to extract the correct discernment from it. Here the only solution is to pray to The creator to go specifically above. Reason, yes, seemingly the previous reason. Disappears, no, it's above it, he builds it. His above reason above. It another question, why specifically the forces that are the representatives of Israel, these are the spies, they're they speaking. Slander, how can you think you can pull a person toward the purpose of creation only by placing great forces before him that pull him, but also at the same time they show him now his path is incorrect, is qualified, and then a person has two lines in him and he advances. How do we define this quality that hears the spies? What is that within a person? What a point in the heart discerns if a person's lives is if that allows a person to enter this path to invest himself only in order to attain the true purpose of life within the point in the heart there. This discernment within it, yes, that one of then could be really connected to and ruled by these questions. How do we come out of, how do we work? Basically this the whole article. But can we afterwards say thank you for all these questions? Of course, through these questions a person can and make discernment what exactly is the creator aiming him for, then he can start walking with his friends, got no other choice, otherwise he's going to end his life as a dog and then get into the next round. Thank you. It sounds like the point in the heart is even above point of Israel. It's as if a certain place person can see all of this, are all the forces that are in him, and to make a certain choice on all these discernments, at least an agreement. He's as if observing through the point in the heart, yes, if he can disconnect even to a small extent from his superfluous point and collect to his point in the heart. How can we define it? Like a or certain other concept. What is the point? That's observing from the side, even from the point of view of Israel and him. It's a spiritual root. Can we say that it's or something else? No, we can determine this, but we can feel that. I feel in this a point that if I'm holding on to it, it's capable of lifting me upwards. There's no marrying, there's you'll do and you'll hear. As long as we don't have connection and doing, meaning rising above the external force, then we're always losing to these spies. Of course, why are they spies? In order to bring us discernments that we need in order to reach the truth. This whole scrutiny of sitting and clarifying this necessity to reach doing, we shall do what brings us to that point in the heart. In each one it's pushing a person to reach decision. So I by myself, I seemingly understand everything in intellect, but intellect, it's still nonetheless this external intellect, the searching for something worthwhile. Also within the society we're looking for things that are worthwhile. It's worthwhile for me to be like this or like that, but how do we reach? We will do together. I told you where your 10 are. You gradually moving toward them, starting to see how connected you truly are. How indeed there is no choice but you can't be together, have to be together. The 10 doesn't have to be even a 10. The majority of collective is 2. But when you have a 10, that these forces are more powerful, and then if you connect with them in spite of the problems that you start every time from hating them, rejecting them, being distant from, then you don't want to be near them. And later you are going over all the discernments that awaken in you, and you reach connection. I win this war against the spies. Yes, battle after battle you who are winning. No, he recommends in the article to depict to oneself that one has 70 nations, and he identifies with Israel in him until a person doesn't make the Separation within himself then in general he can't. There's a rule that a person cannot fight with himself. So one really needs to make this distinction. My question is, how do we truly advance to see the inner forces of something foreign? It seems like something very advanced in the work. First of all, you connect with the friends, you connect with them to such an extent that you feel that they and you are as one. All of the desires, all your goals connect into one, and that's how you continue. Will help me to see my qualities, as this will help you in everything in attaining the goal. General, it's clear we always talk about connection, but I'm asking about something specific now. How do I see my passions, all these things that awaken me throughout the day, and 1,000 more that will awaken within me? How do I see them as these for nations, and that I am Israel, and that I won't run to carry them out, and I'll just through the scrutiny you'll come to see that you're Israel. Okay, for where's the view? Look, it's right before me. I didn't see. Thank you. Point out that the friend said this is an amazing article that really points out how much the Creator, who wants for us to have this connection with him, he does everything for us, just for us to ask of him truly. So, and I'm asking a simple question: what does it mean that we will reach a state that we will need the inner intellect? What does this need? Imagine that as a father you're now planning your child, your future child, and you want him to reach a decree of an angel. So how do you build in him? How do you arrange in him these forces that will lock him onto this arrow cry? And you will see that you need additional forces called the 10 and many other things. Yeah, I really felt this before you said what you said just now regarding the relations between a father and a son and the children. Although the children don't want to do what the parents want to do, and they don't even feel that it's for their own benefit, and only after reaching a certain age they truly begin to understand that. After a lot of time they begin to understand that the parents wanted what's good for them, despite all the punishments they received along the way. And I really see these relations really like the Creator with us. He's educating us, yeah, and sometimes I say thank you, really huge thank you for that. He gave us one another here, that he gave us the best environment truly. So there's nothing purer than this, than revealing everything that he gave to us, and the connection between us. And in continuation of my question, this inner intellect, it seems like it's in the connection between us. Excellent, beautiful. Where are we going? We're going to move on to the next part of the lesson. From we have many questions from the let's start where it start. From German for good Morgen. Morgen. It's written in the article that if he determines that he belongs to the nation of Israel, he can go, he can fight against the 70 nations. How does it happen in the 10? How can we determine in the that we belong to the nation of Israel? Connect to learn spiritual laws, and we try to gradually keep them all. One is the sinful. Yes. German. Foe is the sinful. Does it give us something to read the Shema prayer together in the 10 to determine that Israel stayed within us? What again is this? Is it correct, or is it good if we would read together in the 10 Thiel prayer, so that it will help us determine that we belong to the nation of Israel? No, I don't think it's going to be terribly helpful later on the path. From a certain degree on, we'll be able to do it and feel the power in it. For now, my question, what is that? Our land of Canaan. Us. There are many names for the land of Israel. That's one of its names. We will learn later on the difference between all those Names and with what intention can we intend in order to see that land of canon everything is on the path of bowl. On the path to connection we go. Through all those names they understand, where each name belongs to show, turkey, to. For what are the transitions between the written and verbal? That's inside of a person. Two mechanisms that work. In this way how to translate it from one Torah to another. We can't speak about it yet. We haven't attained neither the written Torah nor the oral Torah. No. For question from a friend it's written that the Creator wants only the heart. What is it mean? What does it mean to give heart to the Creator? How can we as a 10 give our heart to the Creator when we connecting our hearts and one desire, and we wish to attach this desire to the Creator, to make room for him in that desire, in that heart, so he could feel. They just asked, there, see also? No, I see it's not on, I believe. You thank you, it's written, and they came to the stream of these are the words of the legend and the interpretation. So he's asking, how can it be that someone who's a non-believer without faith can come to the stream of course he can't. We are speaking of people who have some form of attainment of the Creator, attainment of the upper world, when the what is the Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden represents special conditions for the soul when she gets the light that holds her in our attainment, in adhesion, with the Creator. 11.6 questions that always ask, always the students are always asking you the study, live out correctly that degree of Israel to understand that there's no other place of work harder. That's what I would say. We learned that the process of advancing towards Kama, the final correction, there's the restry, the screen, the reflected light, and then the direct light, and so forth. Where here is the light of Fod, revealed the is the light. Fs the vessel that has the intention of bestowing in order to bestow. That's it. Thank you is the inner intellect connected to faith. Person doesn't become smarter, more understanding. No, only simply because he feels more discernments, more internal discernments. That proof that he's becoming more understanding by attaching himself to spiritual discernments. So a Kabbalist relies on the inner mind. Yes, of course he does, even by being in connection with external people. Thank you world. Clean. The article is really amazing. It throws me to my loneliness or nothingness of the friends also who make efforts against all reason to continue on the path. Where do we take this extra strength to stay on the path, and even more to keep adding every day from our connection, that from day to day we become more and more connected? That's why we can extract more forces from there, spiritual forces that help us a bit to add in our perception. Hello. If a person feels that Israel is inside the one nations, how to come out of it? Understand. Ask again, if Israel is found inside the 7 nations of the world, how can Israel come out, rise above? That's what they can do. How rise above those desires? That's all of our work. Another question, if we can, it says that a person during time of trouble can pray, and the Creator wants to be asked, why did the Creator make Israel as the weaker quality? Why did the Creator make Israel weaker than the nations of the world? So they will ask, wasn't it possible to make them equal, to keep, to leave our choice? I don't see such a big difference. No big difference between Israel and the nations in our world. It's only in spirituality, like That in our matters there's no difference. You can't say that there's weaker or lesser or doesn't matter. Every nation has its own privileges, its own advantages. Key one, the spies and the nations, the 70 nations of the world, they are in a different way than the spiritual path. The spies and the nations are two different things I don't understand. So both these and those go against the land of Israel, yes. So what's the difference in their resistance? All the nations of the world are in fear. They're trying to convince no. Anyway, they use any possible way in order to deviate us from the right path. That's why it's not a simple nation. It's the spies. In the lesson, for example, how can the spies deflect me? Is it just foreign thoughts or intentions for self? It's not foreign thoughts. Exactly, the spies use the fact that you have interest and they try to close it into actions that deviate you from the goal. You want to reach the goal, so here, go to that goal and there you'll find it. That's something a person has to discover in himself. It's not that easy, but it's also not difficult. Thank you. RAV and World C. Eliot is written, when a man's ways are pleasing to the Lord, he makes even his enemies be at peace with him. My question is, what does it mean to be at peace with the evil inclination? Woman cup, for they didn't to Russian to Hebrew. I'm sorry. Question from the 10. As we move through time and space, our senses guide us with digital access to the study hall. 247. With the new app, I can drink as much as I want. So what are the tactics to strengthen the presence of the inner reason as we move through the day? You need to constantly try and connect in that internal mind to bestow to one another and from your bestow all together. Bestow to the Creator. Latin 24 is, how can a person determine if he belongs to the 7 nations or to Israel if everything is hidden from him and he's under the rule of the spies? He still doesn't have spies. Either a regular person in the world doesn't belong to all those. Discernment, that's it. Shri Turkey. Hello Rob and friends. Under what conditions are we awarded with the inner mindist, the inner mind? We are rewarded. Everybody in the 10 think about connecting and to reach one desire towards the Creator, even the smallest desire. Okay, woman M. Hello dear teacher, it says here, I created the evil inclination. I created for it the TOA as a spice. This spice, how do we create it? In the 10, we went through the rash articles that we read to come closer to the Creator, and in this way, step by step, we come closer to Him. Turkey. Speech for speech. It says in the article, if a person comes to purify, he's aided with a holy soul. So the question from the 10 is, what's the connection between the soul and the inner mind? The inner mind brings man to reveal his soul. No. What are the 70 faces of the Torah? That's something we'll discover later on. For now, you can't really talk about it. There's 70 nations of the world, 70 faces in the Torah. That number is 770. We'll learn later on a lot about it. Thank you. Is the quality of Israel equal to the 70 nations of the world? So what are the changes? What changes need to happen in a person or in a 10 so that the quality of the 10 will always be above all other qualities, or it's always weak and needs to be amplified? We need to strengthen the quality of Israel, otherwise they'll constantly fall. This quality is unnatural in a person. That's why we have to hold on to each other and give an example. That's it. It's based on the fact that we start year towards the Creator, towards a connection with Him in the article 1 should sell the beams of his house. He also speaks about the spies and the spies go after they look for flaws in the friends, and here the spies are sent towards the Holy Land. Are these the same spies, or let's say they're different qualities within man by which something new appears? Are the spies usually it's the spice? There is such a thing that they come through negativity, they show some negative picture, yes, otherwise you can't do anything. My question, Rob, good morning. Friends, my question is, this topic feels so tangible and every question that was asked, so my question is it the right opportunity and right moment to ask and receive the force of what? I don't understand. He says that the topic seems so sensitive and tangible. Is it the right time to ask and perhaps receive the force of between us, the force of you can always ask and demand? Is the main force of the group that without yearning for we can't penetrate onward towards the Creator. It's like one soldier in the battlefield, he needs to be with his friends. All right, next back, but not a lot are left, so let's do quick. Hebrew 3 women, 2 short questions from the 10. Why is Moses the one who sent the spies? If Moses is the point in the heart and the attraction towards the Creator, I guess that's what he needs in order to grow and take all the nation of Israel out of exile. Next, is the discernment correct that with the progress the spies multiply or appear more until there is just a foothold of a thread, the hair is breath until the cry awakens? That all depends on our advancement. As much as we advance, there are more things that come in our way, and that's natural. Thank you. 1 by how to know if we give pleasure to the Creator by feeling the reason and going against the spies. I didn't understand again how to know if we are giving pleasure to the Creator, perhaps by feeling our reason and going against the spies. By that we feel the inner pleasure. When we feel the inner pleasure, we feel it. Okay, woman, I wanted to ask, this text feels like a Kabbalistic psychological code that explains how to read the Kabbalistic text and what to do about it. What kind of inner deciphering you have to do with the states you're going to go through? The question is, does it also give me tools to work in the 10? This whole process of 70 nations will also happen to me towards the 10, or it's only within the person and towards the text? How to read it and what's supposed to happen to you in it. Keep searching. I have nothing to say, woman. Latin. Friends, in the article talks about the root and the kernel. What is the kernel of the 10 and what kind of relationship need to be between us? Maybe she can repeat the question. It's not exactly clear. Okay. It says in the article, what's the connection between the root and the seed or the kernel? I don't know what she means. Let's go to the next part. We'll move on to the next part of the lesson. Before that, we'll sing a song. Once again we gather as one man, once again below this mount of hate. You and I have done this all before. Some would say it's face. Look around, the new day soon will go. Now we meet again, but now our hearts are bare. Through the mist our eyes will give the light in a common prayer. La 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 fa la 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 fa feel la 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 la. We are reading from the study of the 10. We are in part 6. We are in item 27. 2 kinds of light emerge from the goof of The first from the tab and the second from the also two vapors emerge from. There it should have said that there should have been three vapors there, corresponding to the G that received from the but since the light of ozone is absent from the vapor that corresponds to the ozone is absent, to only two vapors emerged responding only to the and from which received above and here. Below they receive from them as well. Okay, keep going in a light item. 27 The vapor that corresponds to the ozone is absent, hence only two vapors emerged, corresponding only to the. This means that only two vapors emerged from the of corresponding to the. Those are Vtoma and a dot turbo. As the says below, however, the vapor of the turbo, which corresponds to the light of ozone, did not reach above since they have a hold only on the as the AR says below. Next item 28 words of the AR, however, the light of the lower 7 that took only from the goof downward is from the of and below. This is also why they do not have vapors to shine for them, but they are implied in the words, and the arms of his hands were made golden, which is the 10 drops thrown off from between the nails as mentioned in ton 69, since for themselves they are the phase of kings. For the revoking of the kings was because he was still not established as one Adam, male and female, read in a light item. 28 The light of the Z lower 7 that they took only from the goof down is from the shaken downward, as was written above. The zit take from the corrections of DNA that are below. Check where the light of ozone does not reach because it ends attack, and the arms of his hands were made golden, which is the 10 drops thrown off from between the nails, even though he says below that the 10 vapors came out through the nails of the toenails. Why does he say here that they are from the hands? Indeed, when it says that the zit took from the vapors that come out through the nails of the, it means that they took from the par that ends the sag. It turns out that he took from the nails of the. You must remember what is written above that. The meaning of this is the new point of restriction that moved from the place of the T of to the place of the 10 of the place of the line in the first restriction of N was in of the 10 of which is really this world, as it says, and his feet shall stand upon the Mount of Olives. The same was done now in the second restriction, called the restriction of the point of in the of these. T called the point of the next world. The parser was installed here, ending the new boundary set up in the worlds where time of Sadek and the is discerned as the nails of time of Sagik. It has been explained above that the and are one and the same. This is why the W are here, that from of only two vapors emerged, corresponding only to the from which ABA received, and the vapor corresponding to the light of ozone is absent. This is why the zit took from the nails of the, since they took from the of the shit that ends the light of ozone. Understand that because of the new point of 3 phases have emerged in the point of the, called the point of the, which is in the place of the previous turbo and is called Shek, and the called the is discerned as of Sagic. However, everything we discern in Sag does not change itself in any way, as you already know that there is no absence and change in the spiritual. Everything we discern in it is but a general root. Rather, all these changes that are done by the force of the new point of restriction is only in that same new that emerged because of the connection of phase 4 with phase 2 through Fike, called Nick. Also only in the that did the above 3 emerge and were formed in Practice and remember that you already know that there is a great correction in this par that draws from above and gives below, because it is a double screen from two phases, phase 2 and phase 4. Together this was done by the ascent of in phase 2 that operates in feet of S was incorporated with phase 4 that operates in the noi of the inner AK that stands diagonally from the to that as it contains within it and it together during the G the lower which is phase 4 descends from the polar and the polar is breached, meaning that the ending boundary is revoked and the lights of sag pass below the palsa immediately afterwards. The polar returns to its place by which the palsa draws the illumination of sag from above and gives below to below the table. It is similar in that as well for this reason that above 7, lower that could not receive any light from sag due to the of the P now during the gut after the para has been preached. They too receive light from the place of the hollow which is discerned as sag and it of the general. Thus those lights that the 7 lower received from the are discerned as which are the arms of the hands. This is why says and the arms of his hands were made golden. It was explained that before the coupling of G that is regarded as since the illumination of sag ends there and the end of the illumination is called aim. However, when thea is breached, the boundary returns to the point of this world as before and the phase of hot expands as before. Okay, so by this we finished. 28. Again, yes, is the vapor that comes up from the always comes up from the point of Bina in the P. Where could it come from? Only here participates in this process. Why? Because the force of bestow is in her. Somebody else wanted he writes here that after fear is breached it comes back to its place right away. Right, what causes it to go back? Why? It performed an action and afterwards there's no other deed. That's why it returns to the same quality as it was. But if it is breached and it let the light pass, what new state causes it to go back? It returns to its own matters of what she is, where she separates between the vessels of bowl and vessels of reception. Sounds like it's elastic. Yes, everything works according to the qualities that are revealed. Yeah, first of all, why does he call it a breaching? Because it's a shattering. Actually, that's a shattering, right? No, there's breaching and there's shattering. Shattering is where there's already a shattering of the screens and a mixture between the phases, the qualities, and that's not there yet. So it's before wise part that supposedly is very exalted and distant from us. You said it's the most important. It seems that the world of but here in Y is this. How can you get to add in the worlds of B if you don't learn the laws by which they form and the worlds of beyond? How can you understand that system of in the worlds? But we have to at least somewhat as we go through it just to get it into our ears. So the laws that are determined here go for the whole. Yes, it's the most important part in order to understand the worlds of B. Otherwise you'll start thinking about like it's some sort of a monkey that is jumping around in the jungle. Against the diagonal that he's speaking about, that one thing raises to connection between Bina and Mal. There are qualities of Bina that connect to the qualities of Ma, and they both influence each other, and that is marked as a diagonal, meaning that if you have a square of without, actually it follows that and are diagonally linked. So what does it mean in quality? That it's in diagonal, that it holds and uses shared qualities with the Mal. That's the quality of right. Should we go forward or move on? What do you think? There's questions. or 9. Questions 2 of those that always ask. Like a joke, okay, let's see. Thank you, good morning, good morning. World 10 with your permission of theirs. A process of 2 screens and the breaching of the P. What causes the breaching? After phase 4 and 2 are combined, we learn we'll learn what's going on therein. But says that the ones who took from the pirates is the new point of restriction. Although the what does that mean? The new point of restriction isn't the constant, there's not fixed. What does that mean? It's a kind of a boundary. It's not like the or Phoebe, rather it can go up and down. Is there a way to feel the power at some point you get there? You'll feel. Were they what they wrote from their discovery? What did they discover? That between the world of and the world of Mal, 2 worlds that disconnect the 2 worlds. Not only that, there are many RS for the B. What are they? Can I have one? No, you can't. Okay, thank you. All right, so what do we have next? We can continue or go to the AR article. So next part of the lesson, Kubota. We are reading from the writings of fam. The article of the AR. We are in item 23. Item 23. With these words we clearly understand what we said above in item 5 about the Torah being given specifically to the Israeli nation, because it is certain and unequivocal that the purpose of creation lies on the shoulders of the whole of the human race, black or white or yellow, without any essential difference, but because of the descent of human nature to the lowest degree, which is the self-love that rules over all of humanity. Without restraint, there was no way to negotiate with them and persuade them to agree to take upon themselves, even as a mere promise, to exit their own world into the wide spaces of the love of others. The exception was the Israeli nation, because they were enslaved in the savage kingdom of Egypt for 100 years in horrible torments, just said, as salt sweetens the meat, agony polishes man's SS. This means that they bring to the body great purification. In addition, the purification of their holy fathers assisted them, as said in item 16, which is the most important, as some of the verses of the Torah testify. Because of these 2 forwards, they were qualified for it. This is why the text refers to them in singular form, as it is written, and Israel camped there before the mountain, which our sages interpret as one man with one heart. This is because each and every person from the nation completely detached thems from self-love and wanted only to benefit his friend, as we have shown above in the meaning of the your friend as yourself. It turns out that all the individuals in the nation had come together and become one heart and one man, for only then were they qualified to receive the Torah. She questions. That's clear. Next 24. Thus, because of the above necessity, the Torah was given specifically to the nation, to the Israeli nation, solely to the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, for it was inconceivable that any stranger would take part in it. Yet because of this, the Israeli nation had been constructed as a sort of gateway by which sparks of purity would flow onto the entire human race throughout the world, and these multiply daily like one who gives the treasure until they are filled sufficiently, meaning until they develop to such an extent that they can understand the pleasantness and tranquility that are found in the kernel of love of others, for then they will know how to shift the balance to the side of merit and will place themselves under his burden, and the side of sin will be eradicated from the earth. Questions none only from rights in the pre-item that there's a broad world called love of others. What is this broad world compared to SS? Broad Means. High. Means so broad means or wide means. Filled. With and how can you feel it what is? That feeling I can't make it tangible. For you can't pass a feeling from one person to another is it something fantastic that I don't know you see yourself what kind of word you use. Fantastic I mean that it like gives confidence compared to what happens in the world now I don't. No I don't. No imagine it for yourself however you want for. Now women. Moscow no. For it turns out that you could accept the toe as it used to be they used it. And they lost it. Does that mean that we can receive it and then lose it and how? Not to lose it. When did they lose it? When the temple was destroyed. It's not they lost it, it's just that there was a shattering, so that's because they didn't use it correctly. The lights of the Torah, it's because we misuse its laws, but as long as we connect together these laws will once again receive life within us. What is Israeli nation? Descendants of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob. What is that thing that's about? Where does the root of that group comes from? That the group that is ready for and yearns for connection with the Creator. Is any of this rule relevant to us? No. Today we no longer use that. Today anyone whose heart has this concern is capable of entering connection with the Creator, not through Israel, cause here he says the sparks of will go through them. And well, of course we gave something to the world. Religions, the foundations of human society, but that's still ahead of us. So today does the nation of Israel have some duty or role? There's a role for say the people of Israel, that they'll connect, unite and pass on those laws of connection to everyone else, because we see that we're really far from this in the people of Israel. The correct yes. Correct. Yes, continue. It says that the Israeli nation was instilled as a conductor, a passage that the sparks have to go to all of humanity till they feel pleasantness and tranquility of love of others. What is that pleasantness and tranquility? That from coming to love of others we come to feel no pressures that take them out of that state of love, and that's how they continue. Okay. Yeah, on one hand we learn that the toe is eternal and there's no time. On the other hand, what he writes here, that according to history it should have been taking place already. I don't know. Next, I don't know. Supposed to already happen, not supposed. You see that it doesn't yet. Yeah, the exodus from Egypt already happened and all those things. Yes, so according to what he writes, according to those conditions, something should have happened. Some spark should have been passed on. How do you know that? I don't know. I see that it's not yet happening, so how should it happen? I don't know. I am learning together with you and expecting together with you the state where it does happen. So maybe the question is, how is it supposed to take place now? I don't know. We go back to the same words. If we haven't been there yet, we don't have find the conditions, then how can we say you know how many existed throughout the generations who said that the Messiah is just about to come? Where is the white horse and all kinds of other signs? And I don't know. Messiah is one state that we're talking about here. He's speaking about a state that supposedly something happened already. So does that state have to come again? I don't know. How much can I continue tell you? Okay, thank you. Again, another one. Yeah. There's a feeling from the beginning of the lesson that the more we study about being the conduit, the qualities of the conduit, that in Israel there's a coarseness from the fathers, which is the smallest, and Israel has to use that coarseness or with the upper desire or the low desire, which is the conduit. Everything we learn about is that right. That's right. Thank you. That's it. Next, yes, can I ask when he speaks about the sparks that multiply daily and bring all the nations to the feeling, yes, the seed of love of others is something good when a person looks. Today he doesn't look as love of others, as something good feels that the others only hate him more and more. Yes, so what can develop a person to come closer to the feeling or understanding that he needs to love the others, and that'll be the best thing for him. How can that development to see how all the others are going against them will bring him to see that he needs to be in love of others? I don't know. All I know is one thing. Do we know what we need to do for today? We hear not clear what are the sparks of purity that have to bring a person closer to that. I don't know. I don't see them. I don't attract them. I don't know how they come and multiply and connect and integrate. We have to see where we are today and what can we use, and not to make mistakes and take upon ourselves all kinds of actions and states that are not yet in us, or that we are not getting them. So can we explain what we can do and are able to do and must do are as much as possible for us in RT, in the tens and in the entire group. That's it can mark. Yes, I want to continue. On one hand, we learn in how it should be, quality of the conduit and the spark spread and the pleasantness in them others. Yes, but also says that we can reach a third and fourth world war, and only a small number will remain that will implement that love of others, because they'll have no choice. So how to look from those two angles to look at it, that it can be this way or that way, but either way we come to a certain conclusion. That's it. Feel moving towards a form where we all want to nullify the will to receive and connect. Unboundedly, we don't know, and we don't really want to talk about such things because it's not worthwhile. Don't open your mouth towards the devil. That's it. All right, next 25. Now there remains to complete what we have said in the previous article about the reason that the toe was not given to the fathers, since the commandment of love your friend as yourself, the AIS of the whole Torah, and around which all the other commandments revolve, so as to clarify and interpreted, cannot be observed by an individual only through the prior consent of an entire nation. This is why it took until they came out of Egypt to become worthy of observing it. When they were first asked if each and everyone in the nation agreed to take that commandment upon himself, and once they agreed to it, they were given the Torah. However, there still remains the clarity where we find in the Torah that the children of Israel were asked that question and that they agreed to it prior to receiving the Torah. Again, if I understand correctly, he says here that they became a nation in Egypt. That made them a nation. Yeah, so I wanted to know what happened there in Egypt that made them mansion, because they were a small group when they entered Egypt, and in Egypt they multiplied, meaning their desires grew, their inner and outer power grew, and then they became a nation, but still not a corrected nation. Yeah, in the term a nation, is there like a togetherness in there? Of course, that it's not the same group as it entered. It's a nation. So what's the trouble in suffering in the exile in Egypt that towed them and turned them into one that we haven't spoke of so much yet? We haven't got to that stage. That's they're the beginning of their journey in Egypt, where they just grew. It's like a baby. At first he grows, and then he begins to be taught certain things, and certain demands apply to him. That's the next stage. But the coming out is that Moses doesn't se. They all want to leave together. That's still far. Yeah, can we say that before the Exodus the nation of Israel could have kept the laws of the Creator and Pharaoh together, both, and then the exoduces that they had to choose either work for the Creator or work for Pharaoh, and that is the essence of the Exodus. The essence of the Exodus is that they escaped the rule of Pharaoh, and it's clear to them that they're going into that work to work for the Creator. Yes. What more? That's it. No. Is. Well, I heard that as much as we connect, so the laws of the Torah will awaken in us. Again, can we see in connecting the nation together today during the war such signs, and should we do it in order to explain the necessity to the nation of Israel that's worthwhile? It's worthwhile to explain to the people of Israel that if we want to advance correctly, then each and every day we have to be increasingly connected. Yeah. Can all right, yeah. Yes, I'm asking for forgiveness in advance. I didn't understand it like that. Until they don't come out of Egypt, they don't engage in love of the other like yourself. The Exodus is the first action, is what I understood. Okay, so we're only talking about our common goal to run away from the will to receive. That's what I understood. Yes, so I wanted to ask. Also, can I go ahead and ask? Already, when we talk about a nation and actions and deeds we need to do, we're talking about this. I don't know, it doesn't right. That way I can look at people on the outside and okay, next, yes or no. I don't know. What are you trying to sign me on some document? That's what I wanted to ask. Thank you. Something gradual, right? Yes, so how does it express that we get an extra each time we advance? We have to determine the AR between us on a new level. Does that mean that it's what's that new level? More connection on a greater level, on stricter conditions than before. What are those stricter conditions based on the degrees, and what does it express? Let's say that we feel the deficiencies of the friends more, and we take what upon ourselves. We feel more the deficiencies of ourselves. That's it. Okay, where are we finished 25. Okay, we won't move forward. So what's happening today? So today's schedule at 10, the news at noon, the noon lesson 5:30, reading the study of the 10 at 7:30, reading the, and we'll end with a song. Is there a chance for? So yeah, we have